Hello and welcome back to the worst War Machine channel on the internet. I'm Dorian, and it's time for another War Machine Weekly and another Jank or Shank. This is one of those videos where we take some of that delicious jank out there, something that's, people are always looking at the power stuff. Let's look at something that's a little bit out of the box and then assess, is this actually legitimate jank that will do well on the table, or is it just something silly that we should just shank and get rid of because it's really wasting our time? Now, where this is actually coming from is something where I have to be giving credit to two different areas. In fact, this is the second time that I've been doing this video because the first time I did this, one, I made a critical mistake and people were like, hey, Mallory, you're an idiot. I'm like, yes, you're right. I'm an idiot. And I had to take down the video and redo this. And secondly, I also didn't give proper credit to the person that brought this jank up to my attention. So the person that brought to my attention on a previous jank or shank was actually Marcin Mysek. So thank you to you for bringing these up. I always love it when people bring new jank to my attention. And then, of course, when I heard that, I threw it on to the Patreon poll, and my patrons then decided, yep, this is what I'm going to be talking about this week. So what this jank is Durgen with a Dynamo. Now, what I screwed up last video is I thought this went along the way of how we talked about having the Kane 3 with all the tesselators. And the way that you did that is actually going and putting tesselators on Nemo 4, then you kill your own Nemo 4, and Kane 3 takes over the tesselators, and it's silly, silly, silly. If you want to hear about that one, go back to that video. We're not going to be talking about that one. In this case here, you don't need to do that. So let's kind of look into this now and talk about why that's the case and why this is actually jank that we're caring about. All right, so Durgen Mad Hammer. This is another one where we've had big changes from the last update. There's a lot more interesting things you can be doing here, but the biggest part of this jank comes from the feat, and that's going to be the feat Bombs Away. So while in Mad Hammer's control range, friendly faction models gain dual attack and +1 to attack and damage rolls with area effect range weapons. This lasts for one turn, sorry. Now, the area of effect is not going to be mattering here, right? Nemo 4 doesn't have an area of effect. Dynamo doesn't have an area of effect. That doesn't matter. The part that does matter is dual attack. Now, what dual attack lets you do is do your initials and your range attacks. Even if you're engaged in combat right now, you can go in, stab, 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 shoot something else. It's no big deal. You can do all that fun stuff. And so that really opens things up for like, oh, wow, what has a good stabby stabby and a good shooty shooty? That should probably be in this list because you no longer need to make a decision. You can just do all that at the same time. Now, again, how are we going to be having a Dynamo in a mercenaries list? Well, it's not going to be on Durgen. Durgen's going to have its own battle group, probably with a bunch of things with AoE so that you can get an advantage of the other parts of the feat. Probably an Earthbreaker on there now, stuff like that. But the way you're going to be getting here is going to be having, Artificer Prime Nemo, Nemo 4, the battle engine. And then with that, you can be taking the Convergence, the Signar, or Mercenary Warjacks. So you're going to be taking its character jack, Dynamo. Now, there's not a lot of stuff that's going to be mattering in this jank on Nemo's card, although there's stuff that's definitely going to help that's always there. So the biggest thing here is that you have Lightning Shroud, so that the target Warjack in its battle group gets +2 strength and immunity to electricity. That doesn't matter, it's already there. And its weapons get Electroleap, sure, why not? And why not? It's also going to be having Locomotion. So it can be spending up to 3 focus, and then target Warjack in its battle group can advance up to 1 inch for each of those. So making it stronger and basically making it faster. Definitely not nothing, but it's just something that's always there whenever you do this Nemo 4 thing anyway. Now, where we really want to be talking about now, though, is actually Dynamo. So why is Dynamo loving everything that's happening here? Well, Dynamo is having a really good stabby stabby and a very good shooty shooty. The stabby stabby is the Battle Spear. It is a range 2, P+S 17, period. That's it. Oh, wow, 17. Well, that sucks. Why can't you get me a POW 18 or a 20 or whatever it is? 17 is on the low end for heavies. Well, okay, we're not starting so hot here so far. Well, what about the gun? Well, the gun is going to be a Firestorm cannon, which is going to be range 10, rate of fire 3. It used to be multi-fire, so up to 4 shots. Now it's just rate of fire 3. It's kind of a wash, but now it's rate of fire 3. And it's POW 12, but it's also a lightning type, meaning that if you also take a Firefly on Nemo, the Firefly can just run up there, and not only are the Electroleaps doing extra damage, but its gun is going to be basically getting +2 damage from that as well. So basically starting off as a 14, kind of. So both those weapons, that's it. There's no other rules in the back of the card. It used to have the thing where had multi-fire, at least on the gun, but all that's gone now. However, there is one rule that is very, very important, because if it was nothing else, it'd be like, okay, Dynamo can go in and I can stab something and shoot something, but there's a very key interaction here that adds just that little bit more. And what that is chain reaction. Now, what chain reaction says is that when this model hits an enemy model with a melee or ranged attack during its activation, after the attack is resolved, this model gains a cumulative +1 to the damage rolls to subsequent attacks this activation. So typically what happens in your good old Signar list is that you're making a choice. I'm either going to go and I'm going to charge in there, and the first stab is 17, then the next one's going to be 18, then 19, then 20. So that's why it's kind of better that you are, you're starting at 17, which is low, but it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And especially because you have that one spell on it, really the first one's at 19, and then 20, 21, 22. So doing pretty good. Meanwhile, you could also be doing the gun. If you don't want to do the stabby, you can do the shooty. So in this case, you start at POW 12, you run up a Firefly, so now it's basically 14. There's some other stuff you could do with like Silverliner stuff too, but let's just start at 14. So first shot 14, then 15, and then 16. You can be boosting the damage and stuff in there. You usually don't need to boost to hit. You're Rat 6 here. You get a reroll because you're bonded with Nemo. But whatever, you got the focus anyway. Here's the thing. Now that you're doing a dual attack, you're getting this to everything. So let's talk about this here. You go in and you get locomotioned up so that you don't need a charge. You get to save a focus. So, okay, we're going to go in there and we're going to stab something at our starting off at 19. Haha! Okay, next attack is going to be at 20. Haha! 21, 22. Okay, Malorian, you talked to me about this before. You're not really making this much better. Well, now we're doing the dual attack, and now we're going to start shooting. So remember, the shooting started at 12, Firefly 14, but we've already made 4 attacks, so the first attack is actually going to be at 18, and then so it's 18, 19, 20 for these shots. These are really, really good. Now, when I was last assessing this Jank or Shank, this is where I really just gave the thumbs down to all of this, because really, when you need to come in here and you're destroying your own Nemo 4 to take it over, and your focus can only go one way or the other way, this doesn't make any sense. Well, the thing is that when you're doing it this way, it's all just gravy. It's all just gravy. This is the perfect jack to be using with Durgen. And I'm sure when people are looking at Durgen and the dual attack, you're like, okay, well, I guess my earth grinder, whatever it's called. What's the stupid thing called? If I don't say it right, I'm going to be just crazy. Earth breaker. I knew it was an earth grinder. Your earth breaker could charge in and like clamp, and then like shoot things far away. And that's fantastic. In fact, that's going to do even better here because you're probably going to take an earth breaker. It's gone down in points. It's pretty good now. And I mean, its shots has knockdown. So if you're worried about wasting focus on to hit, well, the Earthbreaker just goes first, knocks things down. Now you don't care anymore. But the thing is like I said, most Rulik, mercenary players are looking at those Rulik jacks, and you're like, okay, what else do I have in here? Or Gordson Avalancher? Yay! And they're not really caring. They're not thinking about how, I also forgot how this works, where it's not in your battle group, it's just any friendly faction models whatsoever. So the ones that come on Nemo, it also applies to. And so this here is fantastic. And let's also keep in mind too, that we're in mercenaries, so we have a lot of other ways we can also be swinging this damage. Whether we're also going to be having a Gaspy 4 in there, and it's going to go in there and Dark Shroud things, or whether we're going to be going in and maybe instead there's a Hermit going up, or maybe we have Ayanna and Holt, or whatever. There's a lot of things you can do to stack on this damage. It just gets insane. I believe that when one of my friends here were talking about it and how strong this shot can actually get, it's almost close to POW 30 that you're getting up to. It's ridiculous. Now, I think another way you could be doing this as well too is going the other way. When you look at dual attack, there's nothing that really says there that you have to do one or one and then the other. So the way that dual attack is worded is just it can make its initial melee attacks. It can also make its initial range attacks. So if you wanted to go the other way and be okay, it's cute to stab, 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 and shoot, shoot, shoot. And again, your gun also has more range because now you can charge in, get engaged, and shoot some support or something in the back. But you can go the other way too. You can charge in and then be pew, pew, pew. Okay, now that I'm getting +3 to my rolls, let's get stabbing. And that can be very, very dangerous. So whatever way you kind of want to, run those types of things, it's just going to be big numbers happening and getting a lot of effect for this. And so I think this is amazing. When I did that first video where you had to kill Nemo and all this stuff, and the focus would have to go here rather than your own battle group, it didn't really seem good, and I gave it a Shank. Now that I look at it in this context, where it's just extra gravy that's being added to the Durgen package, and again, we talked about previous Jank and Shanks, where you can be putting in the Assault Core and all that type of stuff. You can have all these other things happening, and this Nemo package in there as well. In fact, I think you should be going in and saying, well, wait a second, what other things can I be taking? What other convergence or Signar jacks can I be taking in this list? Or if I take the Gaspy 4, what other Crix ones can I be taking, which can be really loving dual attack? And there's other ones in there, right, where it's have the good hitties and good stabbies, but Dynamo is the one that has that cumulative +1 all the way through and is going to be getting the biggest bang for its buck. So this one, absolutely 2 thumbs up, big, huge. This is wonderful jank. Get out there, start playing those Durgens. It's a really good way to go. So there you have it. Marcin, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but thank you for submitting this jank. If anyone else there has your own jank, post it down below so we can kind of add it to the list. And for my patrons, huge thank you to you as well. Thank you to my overlords, Darrell and David. Thank you to my manipulators, Adrian, Andrew, Dorian, Jordan, Kieran, and Sloth Monarchy. You're the ones that are why make me care, right? Normally I do that first video, oh, I screwed up, whatever, delete, I'll just do a new one next week. No, we gotta do this for the patrons, we gotta do this for the viewers, we gotta make this thing get out there. So, for everybody else, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.